Hello ladies and gentlemen, I am the Omni Viewer, and there's one last little bit of news regarding Godzilla Monster Planet that came from the convention event over the weekend. Maybe. And it's that maybe which kept me from including it in my previous two videos. So far, very few people are covering this as actual news, and the few that are admit they're not entirely sure about the translation. But what is this alleged news exactly? Well, it's a list, maybe only a partial list, of which other kaiju will be appearing in Godzilla Monster Planet. Styled as a document detailing the Kaiju Wars, it gives a breakdown of which monsters appeared when and where and how many casualties resulted from the attack. In addition to Godzilla, we have Rodan, Anguirus, Kamacuras, Hedorah, Orga, Dogora, and Dagara. So, is this list real? Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Pictures of the document in question can be found on the movie's Twitter page. People have been running translations of that, but, well, I demonstrated a little bit ago how well those online translators work. But even then, not many people are actually covering this. The fact that other sites aren't covering this particular bit of information has me wondering about its validity. I mean, this is a big deal, right? We now have a list of other kaiju. So why then would no one else be covering it? Unless, of course, it wasn't real. Yet, this is where things get convoluted. See, when you perpetrate a hoax, the whole point is to be believable. Your first thought upon learning the information should be, oh yeah, that's plausible, I believe that could happen. Whether you're dealing with movies or UFOs, that's the universal law of hoaxing. But in regards to this list, my first thought is that it borders on the unbelievable, and not just because of my aforementioned concerns about this movie. First of all, that's quite a random hodgepodge of kaiju. 3 terrestrial, 3 extraterrestrial, and 1 supernatural. Granted, we don't necessarily know they'll keep their origins in the movie, but still, weird arrangement. On the face of it, it doesn't seem like the kind of roster Toho would approve. When it comes to bringing back older monsters, Toho usually gives preference to Mothra, King Ghidorah, Rodan, and Mechagodzilla, pretty much in that order. And for some reason, Baragon. Probably because he's cute and Japanese culture is obsessed with cute. This list feels like it was compiled by throwing darts. And then there's the inclusion of Dogora and Dagara. Aside from having very similar sounding names, there's one thing these two monsters have in common. Their only respective film appearances have nothing to do with Godzilla. Thus far, Dogora, which is basically a giant space jellyfish, only appeared in the film Dogora back in 1964. Whereas Dagara, a supernatural dragon from an Atlantis-type kingdom, only appeared in the Mothra trilogy of the 90s, which followed Godzilla vs. Destoroyah. Neither of them have ever been associated with Godzilla before. The closest we can do is a 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon game where Dagara is an enemy of Mothra Leo, who is the child of Mothra, who was the opponent of Godzilla. They haven't even shown up in the IDW comics. Their inclusion feels so random, so out of the blue, that if this is a hoax, it feels like the hoaxer wasn't really trying very hard to convince us. But therein lies the twist. If it feels like a hoax that no one put any effort into, does that really make it a hoax? If the purpose of a hoax is to fool someone, and no one is being fooled, does that mean we double back and say maybe it's genuine after all? Well, for now I'm gonna keep this one at arm's length. It might be true. I certainly would like it to be true. But until we get some definite confirmation from reliable sources, I'm not going to say it is true. And if recent patterns hold, that means a couple minutes after I post this, some sort of news will pop up saying one way or the other if this is a hoax. Well, I'll be covering that too, I guess, whenever it comes. Anyway, what do you think? Is this anywhere close to what you expected to see? If true, do you think this is a good choice for monsters or a bad choice? Do you think this is the complete list or only a partial one? Do you actually think it's real? As always, feel free to leave your thoughts below. Until such time as we meet again, this is the Omni Viewer, signing off.